Hey guys, welcome back. It's your girl Ep8, and this is my recap and review of Being Mary Jane Season 4, Episode 8, Getting Risky. This episode was actually really interesting, much better than the filler episodes that they had that I told you about. Like the last two episodes, I just had to put them together because I just didn't see the value in them, and it was quite almost boring, and it felt like it was man, I can't even say that it was a throwback to the first season because the first season was actually interesting. But this episode had a couple of high points, and I'm just going to talk about them. One of them, let me just get PJ out the way since his storyline is very short. So we finally come back about PJ and that, and I still can't remember this chick's name. I called her Rich Thoughty Thought. Privileged Princess Thoughty. I don't know what you want to call her, but his mentor's daughter, and where this whole storyline was going with her pretty much messing with PJ and seeming like she wanted to sleep with him just to get him into trouble. And thankfully, this storyline worked out much better than I expected. So the girl actually shows him that she'd taken, I told you, that she had taken pictures. I'm surprised she didn't take video. She didn't put a camera in the house to take video of PJ having sex with homegirl, the actress that he knew from college. And so she showed him pictures that she took of him having sex with that girl in her mother's apartment. And so she threatens to send the pictures to her mother unless PJ does her a favor or does whatever she asks. And he's not feeling it. He's like, whatever, I'll just, go ahead and show it to your mother. And she's like, you are being really stupid if you think that this is just business. Like, my mother wants to sleep with you. She's in love with you. She's lusted after you. And, this is going to be a real problem. And so PJ is like, I don't think so. But he doesn't really want to have to deal with the whole explaining, the whole picture thing and, showing his private business, especially since this girl had it and he wants her to get rid of these pictures. So he agrees to help her out, and she wants to have a party in her mother's apartment. And it turns out that they were able to, she ended up having a silent party or a silent disco, which is where everyone wears headphones. The DJ's music is being sent to the headphones, but there's no noise on the outside, so you don't have to worry about complaining neighbors or someone calling the police or there being a noise complaint because there's no noise. The noise are in the headphones. It actually is quite brilliant. I'd love to go to one of these parties because if you want to talk to somebody, you know how it is in a club, like you're going to be yelling at each other. Instead, you just take the headphones off and talk to each other. And when you want to go back to dancing, you put it on. So the party looked actually pretty hype. But of course, when you have a party like this with money and this nice area and just young people in general, of course, there was drugs happening. And so this one young lady ends up overdosing and PJ's like freaked out. He's there and he gets the ambulance to come and they take that girl. And the mother comes back because it did happen in her apartment. He's explaining, he's like, I'm so sorry, I take full responsibility. I shouldn't let this happen. And the mother is like, stop it. Like, I know this is my daughter's nonsense, so don't, she's already taking PJ's side. So I thought that she might be like, trying to call the police and all this other stuff because I really thought her trying to be this person that is an advocate for having more diversity on the high level of professionalism and opening doors for more people of color like PJ in the circles, the very white, rich circles that she runs in I thought it was a facade. I thought she was playing some games. And it turns out that she kind of was because she wanted that ding dong. Like, she really wanted her piece of PJ. And, she actually tries to kiss him. And when she tries to, he's like, no, I'm not doing this. I've been in trouble like this before. And so he stops it. He gives her back the Rolex and is like, I don't need to deal with this nonsense. Like, you and your daughter dust. Like, I'm going to give your account over to somebody else in the firm who's very capable, but I can't deal with you. So that was great that PJ did not fall for that trap. That young thought princess did not try to get at him and then accuse him of rape and use those pictures to prove that she had slept with him. I'm happy it wasn't that, but it was just ridiculous. Like, I feel like that whole storyline could have just not been there, but whatever. The other storyline that's pretty short is that Lee's baby mama, ex-girlfriend, ex-lover, is in town, and Mary Jane, since she met her kids, he met Lee's kids, he had to meet the mother, because that makes sense. If you're going to meet my kids, you're going to meet me. And so she turns out to be this really cool woman. She's beautiful. She's funny. Her and Lee have a very open and friendly and loving relationship. And Mary Jane is really thrown off because she's not an adult. She's a teenager in a 40-year-old woman's body. And so she doesn't understand what's going on. She's asking Lee, like, why aren't you two together? Like, obviously you have kids. Like, is she still in love with you? Are you in love with her? Like, she's amazing. She's successful. Like, what's going on? And he's like, she cheated on me, and that's important. Like, I really take, like, commitment seriously. And so Mary Jane's like, okay, whatever, but she still kind of has her doubts about what is she doing in this. And this is how I knew, like, you know, how Mary Jane finds ways to ruin her own life, and especially her love life. And so I thought this was going to go all the way left with her doing something absolutely stupid, but it wasn't as stupid as it turned out. But so you see her hanging out with the mother. I think her name is Zoe. And she's still super cool. They end up going shopping. And during the shopping trip, it's just Mary Jane and Zoe. During the shopping trip, they're all like talking about fashion. And Mary Jane's trying to like squeeze herself into some leather like pants. And Zoe takes a picture of her ass and sends it to someone. She's like, oh, don't worry, I just sent it to Lee. And then she was like making jokes. And so making jokes, like sexual jokes, but not like serious sexual jokes, but like, you know, look at that ass, and like, I wish I had a body like that. And, you know, he's asking about her her bikini area, and she's like, it's still like the 1970s, big and bushy. And it was just very uncomfortable for Mary Jane. And she finally just asked her, like, why aren't you with Lee? Like, obviously you guys have this great relationship, and I would want to be with you if I was him. Like, what is going on? And Zoe shuts her up by kissing her. Easiest way to shut Mary Jane up. So she kisses her and she says, this is why we're not together. She's a lesbian. She left Lee for a woman. She is attracted to women. And so she's like, I'm not interested in him. And so that's why we're not together. And, you know, she's like, I'm not making a pass at you, but this is why. And shows a picture of her girlfriend and all this stuff. And turns out she's a model. And they bond and drink and have fun. And at the very end of the episode, it turns out that Zoe was butting them up because she was trying to ask Lee. She was planning to ask Lee for some sperm, for some life juice, so that she can fertilize her girlfriend's egg, and then she will carry the baby. And so that her children have the same father as the child that they'll have together, and she will be a part of the birthing process by actually carrying the baby. And so that's where the episode ends with that. We'll see what happens. You know, Mary Jane is going to flip out and do something stupid. But also during this, we find out that Lee does not believe in marriage. He's like, I believe in commitment, but I don't see the point of. He's like, I think it's hypocritical. It's, you know, outdated, this whole institution of marriage. And so Mary Jane, this is the first time Mary Jane's heard this, and she's kind of freaked out by it. And she's also said, like, you know, she's telling Carl also that she's not sure if, you know, he still wants to have more kids. And so it's interesting because of the fact that, you know, Mary Jane's eggs are drying up real quick, like powdered eggs. Like, we know she's not fertile or not in a fertile state. So we'll see how that turns out. But I don't think Lee is not long for this relationship with Mary Jane. He's a little bit too grown and too comfortable with himself and sane to be with crazy ass Mary Jane. So I'm telling you, season finale, she and Lee are going to be broken up, and she'll be with Justin most likely. Going on to the main story. The main story was of Mary Jane and Justin and this whole informant on the judge scandal, and him unlawfully and unjustly imprisoning a bunch of black men in the South while he was a district judge down there. And so Mary Jane, you know, they are now on suspension because they wouldn't give up who the informant was. Mary Jane can't because she doesn't know, and Justin refuses to. And so Mary Jane does some digging because she's trying to save her job, and she tries to find out who this informant is. She actually finds out who, but Justin stops her from talking to that person and actually tells her that he has set up an interview with one of the men that was unjustly convicted by the judge, and so he set it up so that he would meet them at Mary Jane's place. Funny thing is, when he gets there and he's like, "Why are you living in a hotel still?" Which is hilarious because Mary Jane was there before Justin. And Justin lets her know, like, I closed on escrow on a place 3 weeks ago. Like, I'm on my business. Like, I'm a grown person that if I came to a new place and I'm planning to build a career here, I'm not going to be living in a hotel. Like, I'm only staying for a week or two. Or, like, I'm not serious about, setting down foundations and being someplace settled. Which is probably what's really wrong with Mary Jane, is that she's not settled. She settles for stuff, but she's not settled. And that's probably just part of her personality. She's not an adult yet. Like, it's funny. She owned this beautiful home in Atlanta, and she's now renting out. But why haven't you bought someplace in New York? Yes, there's somewhat of a housing crunch, but she has money. Her brother is a real estate agent. Go and get yourself a nice loft in Harlem or in Brooklyn, in Brooklyn Heights. Park Slope, get a driver. I mean, shoot, go get a mansion in New Jersey. Move to Westchester. Move to Westchester. Move to Connecticut. Do something. It's just ridiculous. So he makes a comment on that. We also find out a little bit more about Justin, how he grew up in this house, and his father was a car salesman. So he's grown up in the projects. He's grown up in a 4-bedroom home with a pool, and he understands like different types of people. And he really calls Mary Jane out on her privilege and how she's somewhat biased. Like, she makes it seem like everyone else is biased, but she is biased as someone who grew up in this upper middle class Black family with a father who was like one of the first Black pilots, and she went to the best school. She was in Jack and Jill. I still think that's still funny. She was in no, not Jack and Jill, Jack and Jane. What do they call it on this one? John and Jill, whatever they call the real Jack and Jill. She was in that. She went to a good school. She has a good job. She had like that Tesla, which I don't know what happened to it. Did she sell it? I mean, she could have sold that Tesla or whatever car that she bought and bought an apartment in New York. Again, I don't understand her. Whatever. And so they meet with the guy, and he tells them the story. He agrees to re-record it. He tells the whole story of how he was in a bad place. He knew the cops very well. He was in and out of jail, but this is he didn't do this crime. He had a witness that ended up getting threatened with felony charges and eventually ended up dying, and the judge put him in jail, even though he knew that he had a witness to put him someplace else. And so he says, not anybody knows, like, I have nothing to lose coming out against this. Like, I'm doing this because this is the right thing to do. And I don't want him to become a Supreme Court judge and know that he does this kind of things he's done these kind of things to build his career, and obviously has some kind of racial bias, and has no problem just putting poor, vulnerable people in prison to benefit his career. And so they record it. It's great. It's great material. Of course, when they show it to Garrett wants to give it to Rhonda. And this is where they finally put their foot down. Mary Jane threatens to resign, and so does Justin if they give it to Rhonda, because they did all of the work. And so they win this battle. They get to keep the story. Rhonda's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they won. But it did make her, step up a petty, and she decided to go and sign a 5-year contract and lets Mary Jane know that she'll be the anchor for the next 5 years, even though she had to take a pay cut. You got to do what you got to do. And you reminded me that, sometimes there's more things that are important, like stability and, making sure that I secure myself. And I was like, this bitch, I just can't wait till they take down Rhonda. Like, it's just so disgusting how she acts towards Mary Jane. But it seems like, just from the interaction, that Mary Jane and Justin seem to have a better understanding of each other. He also explains what happened during that first job, that he wasn't trying to undermine Mary Jane or get her fired, that he was trying to help her, better her. And he was trying to give her constructive criticism. We know she doesn't like to take that shit in, and so she took it wrong. and that's how she ended up getting fired, and he wasn't trying to do that. So I really do think next episode they show that Justin almost tries to kiss her, but he's really the type of guy that she's into, like high powered, doing well, good looking, just got a little bit of, like attitude towards him, that has no problem calling her on her shit, and also, dropping her on a dime and doing what he has to do and being very blunt with her. And so I think next 2 episodes will be Mary Jane ends up sleeping with him or kisses him or whatever. Lee don't like it because he wants commitment, and he leaves her, and Mary Jane is, I don't know, she's having some kind of breakdown again. Who knows? Who knows what happened? Maybe she might. I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe she'll get pregnant by Justin. That'd be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen, but this episode. Let me know what you guys think about it. It definitely, for me, it was much more interesting. Like, I feel like this is where the show should have started. This should have been episode 2 or 3. Which would have just kept me super happy. I want to see more PJ. I really do like him. He's so sexy and chocolate. I want to see more of him. I want to see more of what he's doing. Where does PJ live? What is he, what is going on in his office? Like how is he interacting with other people in the city? How is he adjusting? I want to see what's happening with him and Kara. Kara had a storyline too, but it was nothing. It was like her and Orlando and her being jealous, and he has a drinking problem or something, and was talking to her kids, and she's like, why are you talking to my kids for behind my back? But whatever. Anyway, we'll see what happens next. Let me know what you think about this episode. Do you like this episode? It's almost over. I'm going to power through. I'm going to get it to you guys. But don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. As you can see, I'm in my office. This is teaching life. But anyway, I had to get it to you guys. Bye-bye.